Hello, welcome to Curt and Paul Discuss. I'm your host, Paul Chappell, and today we are reviewing Bohemian Rhapsody, directed by Brian Singer, starring Rami Malik. I think is how you pronounce it, as Freddie Mercury, among other actors. This movie's doing well at the box office. I think it's on its way to making about 50 million in its opening. So pretty well. It's been getting some negative reviews. If you look at the audience score though, as compared to the critic score, audience score very high. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, so obviously the critics got it wrong with this because I love this film. It was the tour de force from beginning to end. It hit all the great story beats that you want for a biopic. It just, I mean, by the end of this, there wasn't a dry eye in the theater, including mine. I just thought all the performances were great. The direction was great. The movie had just the right tone. It felt more like a celebration of this band, and it's particularly of Freddie Mercury. Sad to say he's not with us. He died of AIDS in 1991, but the man was musical genius. The whole band really. That's one thing aspect I liked about this film. It didn't just focus exclusively on Freddie Mercury, like setting him up as this genius who didn't need help with songs, who created everything on his own in this void. It really went to lengths to show you the collaboration between these artists. And that was probably my most favorite part of the film, is the fact that they exposed the creative process, how it builds on one success. For instance, in the film, they have a concert in Brazil, and at one point during the concert, the audience is throwing back lines from their songs. So one of the band members, I think it was Roger Taylor, or Ben Hart, I don't know, probably Roger Taylor, who in the movie he decides that he likes the fact that the audience is participating, and he wants more than that. So he comes up with the song "We Are the Champions," and the whole, part of that song is the stomping of the feet, and they did that to engage the audience. Well, that could only have happened after the success of some earlier songs, and the audience is participating. So it did not happen in a vacuum. In fact, you'll find in most creative endeavors, things do not happen in a vacuum. You don't you build on early successes. You like I said, nothing is created in a vacuum. Even with this show, I've learned things. I didn't, for instance, Curt and Paul Discuss. I wanted to call this show Curt and Paul, but no, I collaborated with my partner Curtis, and he said, "Hey, we could call it Curt and Paul Discuss, and we wouldn't have to basically introduce it as a review show. You already know we're discussing something. So what are we discussing? Well, we're discussing. I show it in the credits. I show Curt and Paul Discuss, and then I show whatever we're reviewing that particular week. Well, that came out because of a suggestion by Curt, which I'm sad to say we're probably going to change the name of the show now that Curt cannot do as many shows as he would like because of some family issues. But I'll probably get into that in a future date. But that's the creative process. It does not happen in a vacuum. It does not happen because of one genius. So, of course, I know there's probably some geniuses out there, but all those geniuses work hard at what they do. Even the ones that come up with the ideas on their own, always have influences. So this movie did a great job of showing how that works. It also was great at showing how Freddie Mercury's ego got the best of him at times, and that how at one point in the film he realizes he needs the rest of the band. He needs to come back. He needs to make amends because he goes out solo, and he realizes the brilliance that he had was with collaborating with his bandmates. So he eventually comes back into the fold, and they have the Live Aid concert, a concert that was just so mind-numbingly good on the part of Queen that people still talk about it. I mean, this is kind of a grisly note, but even Kurt Cobain mentioned Freddie Mercury in his suicide note. One, because he did not feel like he could match the enthusiasm that Freddie Mercury showed on stage. He had reached a point in his life where he was so depressed he could not conceive of being a greater of a performer as Freddie Mercury. So, I mean, that Live Aid concert was just the pinnacle of their career. And it both begins and ends with this movie. So I can't recommend this movie enough. If you want a good example of how to create and how to appreciate how creation happens, see this film. And I just have to also point out that this movie was directed by Bryan Singer, and he has been caught up with some of the Me Too allegations. I love him as a director. One of his I think his second film, The Usual Suspects, is if I were to make a top 10 list of all my favorite movies, that would definitely be in the top 10 list. And I can't stress enough how movies are a product of a director's vision, and this is no different. But I do have to say sometimes it's hard to separate the artist from his personal life, and he has been accused of some heinous things, but that shouldn't dissuade you from seeing this movie. Just remember, this movie is about a great man and a great band. He died of AIDS, like I said, and it's just, we lost a legend when that happened. And it just goes to show you that AIDS is an insidious disease, and homosexuality at the time was it marginalized people. But this movie was good at showing Freddie Mercury's humanity. I mean, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Freddie Mercury gets his first mansion, and he has all these rooms in his mansion, and he has a room set aside for each of his cats. And I'm a cat lover, so I kind of really enjoyed that scene. It was very funny. I also would point out that Freddie Mercury was a man of color, even though he changed his name Freddie Mercury. His birth name was Farouk Bosura. So on the diversity angle, this film also hit all the right notes. It did at times show people's attitude toward this Pakistani man, but anyway, I just go see it. It just, like I said, it hit all the right notes. Trying to think of there were some outstanding performances. The young actress that played his wife, Mary Austin, her name is Lucy Boynton. Great actress, beautiful, just gorgeous actress. I see great things for her. I haven't seen her in anything else. Also, Aidan Gillen from Game of Thrones was in this movie. It was kind of funny to see him because he, of course, plays Littlefinger on Game of Thrones. In this movie, he plays Queen's manager, and at one point, he actually gets outfoxed by another character who's the Littlefinger of this film. So I thought that was the reversal of his role in Game of Thrones was kind of interesting. Also, Mike Myers was in this film for some reason. I don't know why, as one of Queen's early backers. Had an interesting scene, but I really don't know why he was in this movie, doing his kind of his fake British accent thing. He was in Inglourious Bastards too for some reason. And every time I see him doing, I guess because he did Austin Powers, every time I see him, though, I'm like, oh, why is he here again? I don't really get it. But anyway, if you're interested, he was in this movie. Um, but all the other actors, Ben Hardy, Gwylem Lee, Joseph Mazzello. I haven't seen these guys. I think Joseph Mazzello was in The Social Network. He played the bass player, this guy right here on the end. He played one of the guys who helped invent Facebook. So he's in another movie being a supporting player, which was interesting, I guess. But like I said, great performance across the board. If you love Queen's music, this is the movie for you. I understand they're probably gonna release, probably with the Blu-ray, they're probably gonna release Queen's the Live Aid. They actually filmed the Live Aid part of the movie first, and they did the whole thing, I think, in one take. So the way I understand, they're probably gonna release that with the Blu-ray version. Of course, you can see the Live Aid concert on YouTube. I've watched it. It's a great performance. If you haven't seen it, it's a great performance. Freddie Mercury just has the audience in the palm of his hand the whole time. If you're in a rock band and you want an example of how to engage the audience, this man, his Live Aid concert is what you want to watch. Because, like I said, I've never seen engagement like that with the audience. But as far as historical accuracy is concerned, I think they, from what I've read about Freddie Mercury, he didn't actually get his AIDS diagnosis. I think it was 1986. I think Live Aid happened in 84, 85. So they kind of moved up his AIDS diagnosis in the movie just so he could reveal it to his bandmates right before Live Aid. So they kind of I think they fudged the facts. I'm not 100% sure. But it didn't bother me too much. He did get the diagnosis within, a few years of that. So, of course, they do address his homosexuality. When I found out the movie was getting a PG-13 rating, which was, as from what I read, a requirement from the band when they were negotiating to make this movie. One of the requirements from the band was that it be, not a rated R movie, but somewhere in the PG-13 range. And I felt like going in that was going to have some kind of effect on the quality because he was a gay man. So you don't see any sex scenes or anything, any homosexual, things. I mean, but it is presented in the film. It is addressed. You do see him kissing a man. So if you have a problem with that, you probably don't want to see this film. But that is addressed in the film. There is some drug use and drug, sex, and rock and roll, right? So that does um, appear in the movie, but it isn't done in a distasteful way. I would say um, it's kind of on the periphery, but it is there. His Freddie Mercury's relationship with his wife, Mary Austin. I don't know if he actually married her. In the movie, he actually gives her a wedding ring, but you never see a wedding. I don't think he actually married her, but he did call her the love of his life. Even that song was written for her. But that's really the heart of the film was his relationship with this woman. So that came across very well. He absolutely adored this woman, and his sexuality notwithstanding, he loved her with all his heart. He left a lot, most of his money and estates he left to her when he died. He also left some stuff with his parents and his sister, obviously. But I came across very, very well in the movie. It was very, very tastefully done. So, like I said, it's a great movie. Go out and see it right now. You won't be disappointed. And that's all I got for this week. And thank you for watching. I will see you when I see you.